Welcome back to Family Law Jersey Style. We are now here with our special guest, Diane Lang, psychotherapist, and we're here to ask her some questions about families going through mediation and other types of related matters. So thank you for being here, Diane.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure, absolutely. I was hoping that you can talk first about what you see as some of the effects on children going through divorce.
Sure. I work with a lot of parents who are right now in the process of going through a divorce, and you'll hear a lot about the kids. I actually had a client last year whose child was going into 7th grade, which is a very hard time to begin with, and his grades did such a drastic drop. He was an A student, and the minute the father left the house, within a week, the grades dropped. And that is something most parents will fear is, what's going to happen academically. But there could also be a lot of emotions. They could become socially isolated. They could become very moody, up and down mood swings. Yes. They become fearful. You could see also some physical signs. A lot of kids will have a lot of stomach aches, headaches. They don't want to do what they normally used to do. Some parents are so self-aware of what their child is feeling or what they're going through, and they notice even the smallest changes, which is great, because if you're aware of what your child's feeling or what's changing, you can help them, or at least go up to them and make a point of asking, why are you acting different, or I see something's going on, you're having more headaches. But then there's parents who are so self-absorbed in their own anger of what's going on or their own anxiety about the future that they don't even realize what's going on with their own kids, and that makes it harder for the child, because a child copes better with divorce if the parents are coping better with divorce.
Absolutely. The tensions and anxieties of the parents oftentimes trickle right down to the children and have a similar type of impact, right?
Well, I've seen a lot of kids who actually start taking on the role of a parent. They think they have to start taking care of the parent now.
Right, that's true.
Well, my mom won't get out of bed, or dad. It could be either way. I'm bringing her breakfast. I'm making sure my younger sisters and brothers are prepared for school because she's crying, she's in bed, they're fighting on the phone, they're not around at night because they're upstairs fighting. We hear them screaming, so I'm soothing my younger brother or sister. And it shouldn't be like that.
No doubt.
But you see that, unfortunately.
And it doesn't give the child their own opportunity to heal and transition with the process.
Right, or even to feel.
Sure.
Because if they're so worried about their parents and the changes their parents are going through, or what they're feeling and what they're seeing, then how do they even worry about themselves? So they won't express how they're feeling because they feel that they'll be a burden on their parent. You see so many parents who are divorcing because there is such a lack of communication. And you see that too, they have this fear of communicating, the fear of rejection, fear that no one's listening or they're not being accepted or approved of, so they don't speak to each other, or they don't know how because their parents didn't either. It just, that vicious cycle that rolls down, but then they don't talk to their kids either because they don't have that communication. And if anything, some parents can become very either angry and they're yelling all the time, or they can actually kind of withdraw. So you could see some negative side effects that really affect the kids in such a really horrible way. It's very sad.
Yeah, it's very upsetting.
Yes.
As a psychotherapist, what do you see as the benefits of mediation for families and children?
I actually see it as such a great benefit for most families. I tried to bring that up as an option because what happens is when you go into a mediation, it's a neutral, safe zone. And the real goal or the theme of going to mediation is to make sure that the kids are happy. It's what's best for the kids. And with a mediator, what I think a lot of parents don't realize is you can actually do like a co-parenting program there with the mediators. And a lot of my parents who come to me don't know that. They don't really know what mediation is, to be honest, and they're actually like scared of it. Yeah. We all know I need a lawyer, and you still have a lawyer when you have a mediator. But the mediator could really help you have a co-parenting program.
As a mediator, one of the things I find most benefits the family is that the relationship is preserved to some degree and there's a level of civility so that the parents are able to better co-parent after the process in lieu of a litigation environment.
Right. Well, because they're less angry when they come out of mediation. That's what I've noticed. There's not as much blame because a mediator won't get involved in that. Because they stay neutral, they don't allow each other to blame each other or to argue. It's, okay, let's work on what's best for the kids.
I have very strong opinions about this particular subject, but I'm wondering, how do you feel or have you seen children participate in the mediation sessions with their parents and the professionals?
I have never seen it. I have never suggested it. I think that it is not appropriate for a child, especially a young child. But even teenagers, I would not suggest it. The part about mediation that I love is it means the kids are not disrupted. They go on a regular schedule, there's consistency, they're not involved. So they don't feel like they're stuck in the middle. So if you bring them to mediation, I feel like you're putting them right in the middle and also kind of making them take sides.
How about those children who you believe are a little bit older and they genuinely want to have their preferences known? Is there an environment that you believe as a psychotherapist is better equipped to allow for that type of expression?
Yes, instead of bringing them to mediation, you can have family counseling where everybody could sit down and the kids can express how they feel. And what I've noticed works for a lot of kids is the parents go to counseling, but the kids also go to counseling as well. Because just going through divorce is fearful because they're fearful of the transition, fearful of the change. Am I going to see my parents as much? And if they're young, they might have such a fear of abandonment or attachment issues from the divorce. So by having them all work together, so everybody can go to their own separate and then have family counseling together, it really keeps the family dynamic.
How do you see therapists or psychotherapists or otherwise, or psychologists even, directly get involved in the mediation process?
I actually don't get involved in the mediation process. I try to stay out of the process. What I do is I listen to my client, and I'll be as non-judgmental as I normally am, but I will definitely listen to it so they have support. As for going to a lawyer, I have gone with a few clients to see a lawyer when the divorce process begins. I try again not to because I'm not judgmental, but sometimes they have no support system, and I'm sure you've seen that maybe once or twice too, but I've never gone to a mediation session.
Diane, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
I so genuinely appreciate you coming today. It's been wonderful having you, and thank you for all of your guidance and your advice.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.